Lifetime Achievement Award. Some of the recipients have been KenSlavin and Miss Patsy Torres, who's here with us this evening. Patsy Torres has been voted as Artist of the Year, Female Artist of the Year, and twice Album of the Year last year and this year. Now the San Antonio Summer Art Jazz Festival was voted number 4 out of 101 best events. Now that's pretty impressive, because that means we beat Fiesta, the rodeo, and some of you may not have heard of it, because after COVID I decided to take a little rest. But in running the San Antonio Summer Art Jazz Festival, I actually became friends with a lot of these guys, and I got to know them personally. And I didn't realize something until running that jazz festival and then having 2 children in band, that these guys didn't start 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They actually sometimes started at the age of 7, 8, 10 years old. Competitions, band, giving up sometimes social life. The amount of practice that these guys put in, you would not believe it. And then I'm running the jazz festival, everybody goes home, and these guys are there at 1 o'clock in the morning putting up. And I just think, you know what? These guys don't get enough credit for what they do. Okay? So that's why I established the Lifetime Achievement Award. And we're going to honor someone this evening, but before that, we lost a great humanitarian and musician. His name was Kyle Keener. So we're giving 2 awards, one to his wife, who's going to come up and receive it, Peggy. But something else, again, in meeting these people, I realized something else, that a lot of these, they're just not musicians or friends that meet together. Sometimes there's a kinship, because they become brothers and sisters. I didn't realize Polly, who had played with Kyle, was 1 year shy of 50 years performing with him. That's a long time. So I just found out they were actually in college performing together. So first we'd like to give the first award in memoriam. Would you come up and accept it in the name of Kyle? His wife. Come up stage. Give her a hand. On behalf of the San Antonio Summer Art Jazz Festival,
come up here so they can get pictures of you.
And we'd like you to take this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just thank you for this. Kyle loved every gig he played. He loved all the musicians he's played with. And jazz is still alive in San Antonio. And I was blessed to be married to this wonderful man.
Well, you can't leave stage because Polly couldn't make it tonight. So she said to give it to you, and you would accept on her behalf.
Explain that as well. I think you did try to talk about the fact that because of the 2 together, it was meant to be, she was getting the same memorial.
Yes, Polly was going to receive the award, but because of illness in the family, she could not be here tonight. She said she wanted to thank the board for receiving the award. Would you like to say something at this point about
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes, I'm happy to. Kyle Keener and Polly Harrison together, I met them through our next award recipient. I met them in the late 1980s when I was just starting to hang out at jam sessions around the city and trying to get practice and maybe get a gig. And I sang one night at Dick's Last Resort with George Prado and his band, and Polly was playing there. So I was introduced to her. She told me about her jam session which was at the Boardwalk Bistro in those days. And Barbara, I just saw you. This is incredible. It's great to see you. So I went down and I got to meet him in 1990 and Polly, and a friendship blossomed right away. They were very enthusiastic about what I was trying to do, and they really encouraged me. I didn't have the musical training, and I was very late starting. I was almost 30 years old when I started to sing professionally. But Kyle and Polly became these incredible teachers to me and friends, and we worked together many times over the years, and we recorded albums together and everything else. Kyle taught me some thinking techniques and some singing techniques to help me that I still remember to this day. And he also was absolutely hilarious and had a great sense of humor. Very talented singer, drummer, very lovely person. And it's an honor to be included on the stage tonight when you get your award, Peggy, and I'm just delighted to see you again.
Thank you very much. This year's recipient for the San Antonio Summer Art and Jazz Festival is Mr. George Prado. Would you please stand and recognize him for his contributions to San Antonio? Please stand. Actually, from what Ken told me, George actually was the first guy to give Ken his break. So when he was performing, he said, sure, young kid, come on and we'll try it out. Ladies and gentlemen, George Prado.
I am humbled, and this is rare, at a loss for words. I am thrilled. There's so many people that are in San Antonio that are much more deserving, I think, and have done so many things. So I really honor this, and I thank you. I was thrilled when you called me. It's a big surprise, and I thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank all of you for being here. I love Ken. And everybody else, thank you, Anthony. And here's Anthony has done so much for our community and providing venues in these jazz festivals that offer opportunity for our local artists to display their artwork, whether it's in music or singing or in crafts, arts and crafts. And these festivals were quite a lot and had quite an impact on our artistic community. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome, and I think Ken wants to say something.
Well, yes, exactly. Patsy, come on. Patsy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You look so handsome. Big smiles. Okay, yeah, George is very modest. Any of you who've been hearing me perform all these years have heard me tell the story about Mac the Knife and where all of that started. It started with George. In the late 1980s, I started going down to the Riverwalk to hear him play. I used to work downtown. He was at Dick's Last Resort. I tell people in New York that I got my first break at a very elegant Riverwalk establishment called Dick's Last Resort, and they all scream with laughter, right? But I hung out with George and his band and listened to them play for a whole year before I got the courage up to ask him if I could actually sing a song. And I went up to him one night and I said, George, I really would like to sing a song. And he said, well, what do you want to sing? And I said, Mac the Knife. And he goes, oh, really? And he said, well, can you sing? I said, yes, I can sing. He said, well, how do you want to do it? I said, well, I want to do it with the key changes like Bobby Darin. He goes, oh, okay. So he had me up on the stage to do it, and I'm sure I made some mistakes, but the audience got a big kick out of it. There was a nice response. And George made the mistake of saying, now Ken, anytime you'd like to sit in with us, you are most welcome. He didn't know that I would come every single week for a year. Every Wednesday night, I would bring friends. I'd call my parents, I'd call everybody to come down and hear me. Well, about a year passed, and then on a Valentine's night of 1990, the singer who worked with his band was singing the national anthem at the Spurs game at the Convention Center Arena at that time. And George tracked me down through the city, through my friend Dee Dee Donahue, through my cousin Lisa. I was at the Jersey Lily at my Aunt June's Sweet Adeline's concert. There were no cell phones then, so people were trying to find me, right? They said, it's your chance, it's your chance. So I got him on the phone. He goes, come on down to the river. He said, I'll pay you $50 and you'll have your first gig. You'll sing for an hour with us. So I was all excited. I went down there. I didn't have enough material for the first hour, so we repeated a few songs. Yeah, exactly. I learned all of this from him. From you. Anyway, he was so wonderful to me, and he encouraged me, and I didn't want to be paid. I said, I want you to teach me how to get in the business, and he did. He introduced me to everyone. He gave me everyone's phone numbers. He encouraged me. He invited me to do gigs. He listened to me as I, struggled and tried to learn and all of the things I did. And I will never forget it, because if he hadn't so enthusiastically supported me, I don't think I would have tried being a singer. And so 35 years, February will be 35 years since you did that for me, and I love you.
One more side note, because again, a lot of this is interrelated, because one of the things I do is I write articles in entertainment. And so I got to write one on Ken now. I know he's got to, but I wrote one on Patsy Torres, and what I didn't know, Patsy got her start in music because her dad was into jazz. I don't know if you know that.
Bass player.
He was into jazz, and so Patsy was telling me these stories. My dad played jazz. And that's how she got into music. And then they drifted away, and I had the jazz festival, and most people associate with her Tejano. And I said, Patsy, I want you to sing some jazz. And she said, what? I said, I want you to sing some jazz. You can do it. So we had what was called the Divas of Jazz. And there were certain songs I wanted you to sing. Oh my God, she was just fantastic and did a great job. But you have this talent up here of all these guys, and then let's give them a big hand for what they've done for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Big hand for George and for Patsy and for Peggy and the memory of Kyle and for Polly Harrison, who couldn't be here with us tonight. I love it. I love it. And we'll be back on stage in just a second. Thank you.